Hello, welcome to my second live stream. I have made this one private so that I don't get any weird commenters today. Updates. So my bricks look very good. They're a little like loose, but they feel definitely solid, and they've kind of found the shape of the brick. But at the end last time I put on some dry pieces of paper so that they could like absorb the extra glue that was around. So I want, and like these don't have as much visual interest to me. So what I did in my spare time was I cut up like very even strips of the newspaper. And what I want to do is kind of wrap them around and kind of just, that will add like the next layer of visual interest. And I probably won't be getting my hands as dirty today. I'll just be using the paintbrush to kind of add this effect. And I tried it out this morning and I think that they look really good here. So this is just kind of like adding that like layered effect to these like physical objects. Like this bottom part is still boring. And I've kind of decided to leave the bottom end open, at least for today. It's just, it would be too much work to try and like layer that kind of closing on top of it. And then I can also just hold them, if they're wet, I can just hold them from the drier underside. So that's where I'm at with this. And I have also created some poster ideas. So my first poster, so I decided to kind of give each poster idea its own, like each poster its own kind of ethos. So the first poster I have is this one. So it's kind of it's based on these like coupons, and then I put like little strips that are all like 2 for $4, 2 for $3, like this kind of weird Monopoly, or not Monopoly, this weird like 2 for what, and then you've got to like do the math in your head. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I kind of put some additional like small monetary amounts. Kind of, I cut out like anything that was less than $1, so like 69 cents, 89 cents, 49 cents. And then this little wow I really love. It's just, I don't know why. And then save or clip our digital coupons. So I thought that was funny that they like had put that in like this physical mailing that they sent. And it's all kind of like rough and not very structured. And the idea behind this poster is waste not, want not. So just kind of that like adage when you're a kid, like don't waste it, don't like, and then we're in this consumerist society where it's all like, it's all wasteful, basically, like not all of it. It can be wasteful and excessive at times. So that's kind of like the idea behind the first poster. And I'm thinking I'm going to create an alphabet with the bricks, but I don't know. I might go in and like add digital type to something like this today. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping, so I'll finish explaining the posters and then I'll kind of talk about my feelings, because I have a lot of feelings. So my second poster is kind of is consumerist Pac-Man. So my second thought was to kind of play with the word consumerism. So I wanted to have the word consume in his mouth and then erism like kind of maybe around him in some sort of way. But like I just wanted like this like layered pictorial effect with like, so this one is just kind of an Ocean State job lot page, and I just thought it was really maximal and like it really tried to fit a lot of information. And I covered up the logo with another like kind of chart of extra stuff. And then this one I took all yellow things and then I just glued a couple of extra strips on there just to add like visual layers to it, just so that it didn't look like I just cut out a piece of yellow paper. But that's kind of what I did. So that's kind of the idea behind the second poster. So it's like waste not, want not, consumerism. And then this poster, which is kind of not even close. It's going to say, am I trash? Or I'm going to have two posters that look like this, and it's going to say, am I? then the next one's going to say trash. And I just wanted this to be like really ripped and really like gestural. And I haven't finished it yet because I thought that it would be kind of a waste of my glue stick to try and like glue each individual one of these strands down. And just when I have like a literal like bucket still full of glue that I could use to paintbrush on the glue. So now I'm going to talk about just kind of the guilt I'm feeling again. Like, so for experimental design, I feel like I'm always running behind. So we have class at 4 p.m. today, and it's 2:15, and I'm still like working. And I know that like this happens with other people too, but just like personally, I feel like I am behind all the time. I'm running late. My big plan was to do this like this weekend, like Saturday and then Sunday, but Saturday kind of got away from me. So Saturday I was working at the house, and then Sunday we had this like birthday celebration for my boyfriend's dad, and I couldn't really miss that. And it was like all the way in Worcester, so it was like an hour drive. And then I had like work stuff to do this morning, and all of those are just basically excuses for why I didn't get my work done. But it's an explanation and an excuse. Like, I should have planned my time better. And I think that I'm getting better overall. Like, in the beginning of the semester, I was really doing work like up to the very last minute, and I wasn't thinking it through. At least I had the foresight to, on Friday afternoon, to put this together, like at least start these. Like, this took me like 2 hours to like at least get the bricks done. So I have been thinking about it, and I have been working at it. It's just I bit off way more than I can chew. And that's where I'm at right now today. So first off, I'm going to start laying newspaper down in front of me, so in case I spill any glue on the floor. And then I'm going to start with this poster. I'm going to start just by like getting the paintbrush out of here and just go at the paintbrush and the glue and just kind of get this nailed down and then get that drying. So the sooner it dries, the sooner we can move on and keep going. So let's start grips here. I will adjust the camera down so that you can see what I'm doing. But I kind of hated that I did this on Friday. Like, I hated that how it came out, like where it looked like, where you could just like see my torso for the whole time. Kind of made me uncomfortable. But that's what this class is about, just making Abby uncomfortable. I know it's not just me. I think I just feel like I've given myself this like pressure feeling that I have to, not only do I have to be perfect, like, but it has to be good. Like, the outcome has to like be beautiful. And like, the sooner I can get rid of that expectation, the sooner I will succeed at this class. Like, it's not about, well, it's not. It isn't always. It's not about doing the best work of my life. It's just about experimenting with what the work that I can do. And I like that. But sometimes it's not fun. It's not particularly just pushing yourself constantly can get tiring, and also can get, yeah, it can get tiring. So I'm happy last week we actually like had, it was more of a planning and restructuring week, and it wasn't about making ours uncomfortable or like pushing. It was about like sitting and thinking, which is exactly what I needed because my thesis research presentation was on Thursday. And I had said in my last live stream that I was going to talk about that. And then I don't think I did. I haven't watched it back. What's going on? Hello? Okay, not yet. Sorry, my computer froze, and I don't know where that left off. Okay. Let's use a yellow strip right there. So, anyways, that's kind of where I'm at this week. Monday's a stressful day. But then Tuesday is a little bit more relaxed. Graduate seminar is my class, and I get to kind of focus on the rest of the week and what I plan to do for the rest of the week. So that is just a good time to, but like sometimes days like that sneak up on you and they're like, oh, Tuesday, it's going to be a chill day. I can schedule this thing and that thing and 12 other things, and 12 things later, you're like, oh no, I'm so busy. Yay, look at that. Okay, this looks really good. It's just like a bunch of layers of like ripped paper. Am I trash? Question mark. Which is exciting. Okay, great. So we're gonna let that dry, and then we're gonna take the consumerism one again because like I didn't want to kill my glue stick with the amount that this particular poster needs. I'm curious if anybody else watches this other than Kristen. Hi, Kristen. I know you might watch this. Does anybody feel like they can design really quickly? Like sometimes, obviously sometimes like it's different for every project. Sometimes I feel like I can just like bang something out like much faster than my peers. Just feel like I can like sit down and be like, okay, this has to get done today. So this is my concept and this is what I'm doing. And it comes out as if I've spent like 2 weeks on it. And other times I spend 2 weeks on a project and it looks like I did it in 15 minutes. And it's infuriating. Like if my boyfriend spends 2 hours on like a particular set of code, it reflects that he spent 2 hours on code. But if I spend 2 hours on a design, oh, sick. That looks so sick. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. We are rocking and rolling. Okay. I am in so much more of a confident place than I was on Friday. Like Friday, I was feeling it. Like, I mean, I was in a confident place because I had come from a class, Master's Foundations, where I went in like not confident at all at the beginning of class. I was like, this sucks. My work sucks. And I presented and I actually cried. Okay, so right now I am I'm just going to load up one side with some of the glue. And then I'm going to take like my strip and kind of lay part of it down and cover the top, that part of the strip with a little bit of glue. Then I'm going to wrap this around and then hook it and it should, like the dry end should end up onto the wet end, and then that will stick and stay for the rest of the thing. But I will eventually go in and add glue all around. But to start, it's helpful, ooh, I love this, to just like, well, I'm just trying not to get as gluey as possible. I have a meeting at 3 with Keith, so that will be a definitive end to the live stream. Oh man, that's gonna cover that up. Shit. So as a mix and match any 5, I don't want that to get covered up, so I'm gonna peel this up, tuck underneath, plop on top, and then just brush it down. Yeah, mix and match any 5. That's dope. So I have a meeting with 3 with Keith. I had 3 meetings this morning with a client, my contract job, and, well, 2 for the contract job and 1 for a client. So that's exciting. I like getting paid to do graphic design, especially graphic design that I don't have to like think about conceptually. No offense to grad school. I love it. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to think about graphic design conceptually. But sometimes it's just exhausting to constantly be pushing yourself and others. So now I'm just going to go in with like a light base of glue just on the drier bits so that they can have some structural integrity, basically. And they won't just like be free floating on top of this structure. Oh, I did want to say, like, I think it's interesting coming from my background where I worked a 9-to-5 job, and then I, oh, did I do this one? No, this is from the other day. This looks good. Okay. I'm coming from the world where I had a 9-to-5 job, and oh, this one looks pretty maximal itself. Like, it's pretty good. I don't think I have to do anything to this one. Maybe on the side here? Maybe this Fresh Inspirations isn't as maximal as it could be. I like this. Anyways, so I'm coming from the world of being a professional designer. So I feel like it's very apparent to me the difference between being a graphic designer and being a grad student. It's funny because it's just, there's so much more like questioning yourself. I'm questioning myself in a way that I haven't in 4 years, which is fascinating. Because I feel like as a professional graphic designer, you're like supposed to question yourself more, but I am really not. I find that I don't question myself day to day, or I didn't anyways. I didn't question myself or my skill day to day. I would just come in and do what I needed to do, and then I would punch out at the end of the day, and I would leave design there, like, or unless I would like doing a freelance or a poster or something outside of work, but it's not like here where I'm questioning myself every week and having an existential crisis. And Hannah was talking about that in her thesis presentation the other day, like how she's just so unsure of herself. And I mean, I can totally relate. I'm unsure of myself all the time. I just wanted to tell her that it gets better when you're a professional designer. You feel like you have some level of confidence. Ah, I'm dropping everything. Okay. Speaking of confidence. As I was saying, I feel like when you're a professional designer, you have a certain level of confidence and you're like, I'm paid here. Someone pays me to sit here and make designs, and that's great and that's cool. And I'm not questioning myself, and I can do that and just meeting deadlines. There's something satisfying about that. But also, that is what drove me to maximalism, because in that corporate world where you're punching in and punching out, you are not making anything that is illegible, irreadable. Like, you're basically just creating what the man tells you to do, and then you do it. You don't question it. You don't have your own ideas. But also, at the end of the day, your mental health is just so much better because you're just like, I'm not questioning myself. But also, the pandemic is just way worse. And like, maybe grad school would be less stressful if I wasn't doing digital classes and I could actually connect with people. But we don't live in that world. That's not the world we live in. And we live in this pandemic world, and that's just kind of where we have to live and kind of find our place in this pandemic world. It's not fun. Certainly not fun, but we're doing it. I don't like that. I don't like how that looks. Okay. Rip, rip, rip. There we go. Ah, so much better. Yeah. What have I talked about? What else have I talked about? My thesis presentation went really well, so maybe I'll just kind of go through that really quick, like what I talked about and what maximalism means to me. So at the beginning, I open up and I talk about Polishier's map series, and you can feel free to look that up. I might put my thesis presentation, maybe putting my thesis presentation in the blog for this week would like satisfy the research component of this project. Ooh, I like this one. It's got like this nice saucy orange stripe in it. I like the back too. We'll stick with the saucy orange. Okay. This is our what? Is this our what side? What's our side? There, what side? So my thesis presentation started out Polishier's maps. And I talk about how she played with form and function and the things that I will be talking about throughout the presentation and how that applies to the Polishier's maps. Then I went into a kind of an exploration, just basically what I was just talking about of corporate design. I put up a slide of a LinkedIn banner that I did when I worked for SII Global, which is a big compliance software company, and they do compliance and risk and ethics, and it was super boring. And I talked about this LinkedIn banner that was also super boring, and I talked about how long it took. It took 40 plus iterations of this one banner, and it was just like ridiculous. But it took 40 plus iterations of this one banner, and at the end of the day, it just ended up at the bottom of someone's timeline. Like, it's there, but it's from March or April. Nobody cares to look at what SAI Globals was saying to healthcare workers in March of 2020. Like, that doesn't matter. That's not a long-lasting design. And that's totally fine for some people. Like, the design world needs that. It's just kind of like that Elliot Earl's video we watched at the beginning of our semester in experimental. The world needs. Okay. The world needs designers who are just punching the clock, who are doing that ins and outs and not thinking about what their designs need in larger context. But they also need this world of design needs. Yeah, I like this. This world of design also needs nuance and authorship and needs freedom, needs people to explore themselves and who they are and what they believe in. So that was the next thing I kind of talked about. I talked about like how corporate culture is basically just a monolith and they just want the one thing and that's what you need to give them and that is it. And I transitioned to a slide called freedom, and it basically just said what maximalism means to me is just freedom to explore the form of design, what design means, to just like explore and be more in depth. Then I talked about form and function, which is something that Kristen kind of said to me in her definition, and it really resonated with me about like what maximalism is, because in a lot of ways it's exploring form and function. It's taking the function of something and saying, yeah, but that's not as important as exploring what the form of that thing is. Like, what is the form of this brick? It is an exploratory form. It's experimental, for sure. Like, what does that mean to me? But then you have functional designs like an app or like a user-based project where you need to, the function is far more important than the form. Oh, this looks good. Okay. All of these bricks look good. And I'm so proud of them. Ah! I want to put something on top of some of these to make them visually interesting. So I kind of have some of these saved now. Where was I? Form and function. Form and function. Just totally fascinating relationship. Now these designs are meant to be like the flyers are meant to be functional, but they are certainly maximal, which is an interesting relationship. So do all maximal designs now save? Do all maximal designs need to be function or form over function? I kind of made that argument in my piece, but looking at these flyers for such a long ass time, I'm kind of, oh man, I want to say now, save. Okay, save now. Okay. Kind of questioning, are these like flyers really playing with form at all? Like they are in kind of they're all in a similar paper stock. Some are shiny, some are not. Now see. And dairy seafood. That's hilarious. are these designs maximal because they are functional over form? I would argue that they are still maximal because they are ridiculous. Ridiculously way too much information. And the ornamentation that they play with is also like very maximal. Another like key of maximalism. So I would call them maximal for sure. But it's an interesting question to consider. And like, do we really need to categorize things as minimal or maximal? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just like studying authorship. Maybe that's what my thesis is really about, is like having a unique voice in design. Or maybe it's about maximalism. So the rest of my presentation, well, continuing on from that conversation, I talked about what is good design, what is bad design. I think that was totally a misstep, and I shouldn't have considered it because it's not essential to my thesis. It's 2 slides that I regret because it doesn't really matter and it's subjective and that's just not the right path. And I had a mentor tell me once that don't present anything to the client that you don't want them to love. Like, don't go into a client meeting with like 3 designs and be like, I really hate this one, but like I just want to have 3 designs and I really love these 2, because the client will always pick the design that you hate. And you're just gonna be like, I hate this design. Like, why is that the design you picked? So never show something that you don't want to run with, that you're not as passionate about. So I put on this brick is seafood, and I stuck a little lobster on there because clearly it's seafood. So I thought that was funny. So I regret putting that in there. But you know what? It's all about learning. It's just a learning experience. Our brands, quick and easy. That's funny. So right now I'm just kind of like adding some visual interest to the like ends of the bricks, because I might stack them in a way that they kind of have a unique message, maybe. But I'm also just trying to continue this live stream because I've got to keep talking about my thesis, and I want to talk through it. And I'm actually feeling like this is a lot better. I'm getting a phone call. Goodbye. I actually think that this live stream is going a lot better than the first one because I just didn't know what I was doing. And now I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing. Maybe? Who knows? Our brands, quick and easy. So I regret talking about good and bad design in my piece. It's something I could have talked about in my like final thing, but it was personally a misstep for me to talk about it when I did. I made way too many of these. You know, honestly, if I don't present today, I will probably come down and do more. I want to do more. I don't think I did enough. Fab. Oh no, I ripped fab. Fab. I don't think I did enough. I don't know if I pushed it enough. Like maybe these bricks are good. Like they are certainly looking like the vision I had at the beginning, which is good. But okay, what is going on? Why do I have so many phone calls? Anyways, let's talk about thesis as fast as possible. Good and bad design. Then I transitioned into minimalism and maximalism. So Kristen, again, she really was like very key in my presentation. She helped a lot. she gave me this list by Dieter Rams, who is a minimalist designer, and he was basically like, this is good design, and good design is aesthetic and environmentally friendly, and good design is as little design as possible. And I went through each of those points, and I put a maximal design on top of it, and I was just like, oh, good, it was a recruiter that was calling me. From Mondo? Jesus Christ. This fucking, sorry, pardon my language. This freaking recruiting firm, Mondo. It's called Mondo. I have talked to them for like 6 jobs, and they're like, this is the job, it's contract, it's in Boston, this is, but I'm in San Francisco, but it doesn't matter, like, this is going to be great, and I want to submit you, and I need to submit you by the end of the week, and blah, 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 and this will be great, and then I'll get back to you. And they never get back to me. Like, I have interacted with this company like maybe 5 times over the last 3 years, and been like, yep, I'm down with all of it. I'm down with all of it. Here's my resume. Here's my portfolio. You go ahead. And then they just like never call me back. That's why I'm not responding to them. It's not worth it. Sorry, that was a tangent. So minimalism versus maximalism is what I talked about. And I think that those points came out really strong, and they were like, boom, 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 these are my points. And then I talked about maximalism and like my personal connection to it and what made me interested in maximalism. Like designers today, I showed a slide with Keith's, a poster done by Keith on it, and I saw his face light up when he saw it. It was great. And then I talked about then I talked about like where I want to go with maximalism. Then I talked about a polished sheer map again, and how she was exploring form and function, but this map wasn't intended to help you find your way, but it was intended for you to explore the form of a map and like the data you can see in a map, and just explore it and get into it and kind of walk around and see what's going on in that form, which is phenomenal. That was a great point. And okay, I think I'm done paper macheing for today. I don't have any more ripped paper, but I don't have any more like paper. Anyways, so minimalism and maximalism. Then I talk about wayfinding. And like after I talk about the polisher map, I'm like, this map's not intended for you to find your way. And then let's talk about wayfinding. So wayfinding is like a system in which people can find their way. And it's a problem-solving process, not only on the designer's part to design a system, but to anticipate the problems of its audience, like how the audience is going to react to certain like stimuli or things in your system. I talked about inclusivity and how inclusive to make a wayfinding system, like for the visually impaired or the kind of wheelchair-bound folks in your audience. And then I talked about office spaces. So I had presented this earlier in the semester, and I was like, ugh, open office spaces, but like they're not good and loud and everybody hates them. And I'm just speaking the truth and everybody hates them and they're awful. And Keith was like, maybe you should keep your opinions out of it. Like maybe you can put your opinion, but like do something a little more research. So I was like, okay. So I related the two things, like the fact that corporate design has become so templated and how office spaces have become templated. They're cookie cutter and just clean, and like they're the same. Like you walk into any downtown office and you see like the same setup, just like their corporate design, which relates it back to maximalism and minimalism. And then I talked about this thing that I'm super excited about, which is called Bürolandschaft, which is a German concept where they like designed these organic like pathways in an office space in the 1970s. So everyone had their own corner, but they were like part of a team and they could collaborate, but also like kind of have their quiet time and do their work. Sorry, I'm getting excited to talk about it because it's exciting. So I really want to relate that to maximalism. Like maybe I design like something in the Bürolandschaft. I just wish there was more research out there. Like I found a really good BBC article about it, but I don't think that it took hold as much as I wanted to. Like maybe it was like one or two offices were like, it's Bürolandschaft, but it wasn't like everybody's doing this. It was just like a couple people like, this is great. And then it's probably not even like that anymore because offices obviously change so much from like the 1970s to today. And I concluded with just a couple of like questions, like my favorite point that I made, and Hannah reached out to me, was like, this is great. Professional maximalism. What can we do with that? How can we do that? How can we overstimulate an audience, but in an aesthetic and cool way? How can we do professional maximalism? And like, how can we explore the form of wayfinding rather than the function? Like, can we like do something tricky? Like, I don't know, just something with a strong voice that can wayfinding form and function was a cool relationship. And then, yeah, that was just kind of my thesis presentation. It went really well. I think that I practiced enough and I had enough like juice behind it. I don't know if I have enough juice for like a book. I'm nervous about that, but you know what? It's going to happen. Things are going to keep going. So this is probably the end of the stream. I can kind of do like a cute like shot of each of my bricks. So like this is like now save, and this is kind of like what it's got going on. This one says seafood, and it's kind of, I think this one's got a more white aesthetic to it. This one I didn't touch at all. This one's really organic and fun. Oh, I did add the side on there. This one I don't think I added. Oh, I guess I did. It's kind of wet and shiny. This one is fun. This is fun. This is probably my only one that's got two sides to it. I really should add another side to each of them, because this one just feels more like this is a complete thought and idea rather than like some like with the open side. But also maybe things don't need to be closed. Then this one you can see savings. Just a big old ragu on there. I think that this is maximalism. It's overabundance, and I got to explore surface pattern, texture, and then just like the more flat iterations are coming together. Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll leave like the strands on this one. Like maybe that's like adding some something visual that I am missing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to have my meeting with Keith, and then I'm going to photograph, make sure everything's up on my blog, go to class, and then have a big mess to clean up afterwards. So yeah, maybe I'll like do some planting, because that always relaxes me after a long day. Yes, so thank you so much for joining me, if you joined me. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to class today, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the semester. It feels like it's gone really fast, but also like been 10 years. Anyway, bye.